The Make a Curse Foundation grants evil services short of murder for terminally ill adults. What last act of revenge would you request for your enemy? As soon as they fall asleep at night, they will be startled awake by a loud scream from inside their home, and only they will be able to hear it. You have to let them get some sleep, otherwise they'll die from sleep deprivation. Let's make it random whether the scream goes off or not. Maybe 1 out of 10 times. Enough so that on the outside they appear to be functioning normally, but they're being slowly driven insane by Satan jacking their Bluetooth speaker. Get the biggest boner in the most awkward and humiliating situations and only get a half boner when they actually want one. All critical emails, mail and other indirect correspondence simply wouldn't reach their intended recipients. Mundane stuff would go through as usual though, so rather than being able to identify the curse, the targets would merely feel alone and ignored in the world. I feel like instead of the email not going through, it should replace words with other words that mean the opposite. No matter how many times they spell check it, there'll still be mistakes. Their internet connection will disconnect at random. Also, when they are going to watch a video, their connection will be slowed so the video stops to buffer often. A lot of these are just things you'd ask a genie, not a foundation. I'd have them pour water on my enemy's face 15 minutes after he falls asleep, every time. I don't know why, but this was the only one that made me laugh out loud. Make everything in their life slightly too. For example, maybe they'd go to a restaurant that's slightly too far away from their house, only to be waited by a slightly too chatty, and therefore slightly too slow, waitress. Their meal would be slightly too salty, or perhaps slightly too bland. It would cost slightly too much, and be slightly too cold. I think you get the idea. In fact, I think I explained slightly too much. I wake up every morning in a bed that's too small, drive my daughter to a school that's too expensive, and then I go to work to a job for which I get paid too little. But on pretzel day, well, I like pretzel day. Speaking as someone who has been battling a cold for a week, I would inflict the curse of the nose whistle. Once an hour, the noise would spontaneously resolve, only to start again 30 seconds later. I'd prefer giving them that feeling of having to cough, but no matter how much they cough, nothing ever comes up. They keep coughing because they figure this time something will break loose and I'll have some relief, but no relief. They keep coughing because there's something in their lungs but it never comes out. An itch down at the bone that moves through their body in varying intensities. It can never be scratched properly and it can't be adjusted for. Just a constant itch ranging from inconvenience to straight up agony. I have no feeling in parts of my right arm. No feeling. That is, except for when it's itchy. I can feel the itch, but I can't feel it when I scratch. It's like nothing is happening, and the itch just stays there for hours, maybe even a day or two. It's literally an itch I can't scratch and it drives me nuts. Every time they introduce themselves, people mishear their name and call them a slightly wrong name. If they spell it out, people add extra incorrect vowels for no reason. Grant Smith, so that's Gareth Smythe, right? This is already my life. It's not so bad. I'd send a pack of fleas to everyone that stops in the middle of a corridor when they know there are other people walking through it. Hold off on this. I'm experimenting with behavioral altering by purposefully stumbling into them, especially if they have their freaking laptop open walking around. Make my enemy have the best date ever with a special ending, and NBSP. She is the woman he has secretly loved for years and he finally got up the courage to ask her out, and lo and behold she said yes. They go out for dinner and things are going amazing. The conversation and wine is flowing like water in a river. A single weave crisscrosses through their conversations, always bring them closer and closer together. Finally the waiter silently gives him the check and notices that the waiter has made the wine complimentary. The date is coming to an end, but it doesn't. They stroll through the city, taking their time. Neither wants to say goodbye and end this amazing night. As they continue to wall around, they meander by my enemy's house. He asks her if she wants to come in and have some coffee. To his disbelief she says yes. Things continue to progress until finally they are passionately kissing and they start making their way to the bedroom. She takes off her beautiful satin black dress and he rips his shirt off faster than man once thought possible. As she slowly takes his pants off, he thinks to himself, she is the one. If he were to die right at that moment, He would be the happiest man in the world. He can't take it anymore. He removes his underwear. She stops, looks down, and starts laughing. She continues to laugh as she puts back on her dress. As she finishes zipping up her dress, she stops laughing and wipes a tear from her eye. She points one more time at his penis and laughs as she walks out the door. And NBSP. Infinite poop. You sit on the toilet to poop, but the poop never stops coming out of your butt. You have to start flushing the toilet every 2 minutes to keep up. You try to pinch your butt closed, but that makes your insides hurt. The poop accelerates. You call 911. The paramedics call for doctors. The doctors call for specialists. The story trends on Twitter. You turn down talk show appearances. Your septic tank fails. People form a cult. Your toilet is finished. Volunteers arrive with buckets and shovels. You are completely used to the smell. The poop accelerates. You are moved to a stepladder with a hole in the top step. The poop accelerates. The shovelers abandon the buckets and shovel directly out the window. The poop accelerates. A candlelight vigil forms around your house. One of the workers falls over and can't free himself. The poop accelerates. A priest knocks over the stepladder and tackles you out the window. You land in the pile. The poop accelerates. The force now propels you forward and upward. Vigil goers grab at your legs. The poop ignites from their candles. The Facebook Live event hits 1 million viewers. The poop accelerates. You are 30 feet in the air. The fire engulfs a vigil and your house. 60 feet. The poop accelerates. The torrent underneath you is deafening. 5 million Facebook Live viewers. You try to close up shop, but your butthole disintegrated long ago. 120 feet up. Your house explodes. The poop accelerates. 1,000 feet. You are now tracked on radar. You try to change your angle of ascent, but you should have thought of that way earlier. The poop accelerates. 4,000 feet. NORAD upgrades to DEFCON3. Concentric circles of fire engulf your city. The poop accelerates. You have broken the sound barrier. 30,000 feet. You no longer take in enough oxygen to sustain consciousness. 60,000 feet. CNN is reporting on all the world records you've broken. 200,000 feet. You are no longer alive. The poop accelerates. Your body disintegrates, but your poop contrail remains. NASA can no longer track you. You break the light speed barrier and we can no longer bear witness. The poop accelerates. Forever. What in the frick was that? Kanye, I told you to do some crap for the kids. No matter what the temperature of the area they are sleeping in is, they will always be too hot. The pillow will never have a cold side either. Joke's on you. They will utilize this for free clean energy generation, making millions. They wake up one day to find they're locked inside a bunker, alone, filled with basic food inventory that will last for at least 30 plus years. Said bunker has thick walls, no windows, and is buried in the ocean. No forms of communications to the outside world. I'd like that person to know what it feels like to be isolated. The bunker has no forms of entertainment, no books, no games, no drugs, etc. The food will be contained in small packets as powdered form, liquid form, cubed or dried. Any design is devoid of anything that resembles a human. Nothing inside the bunker will or can inflict any physical harm to them. The only stimulation is an out-of-reach flickering light bulb and the monotonous beat of their non-existent heart. After 30 or so years, they're free to rejoin society, if they are alive and willing. I sincerely do not care what happens to the human scum inside. I'd like to make it clear that I have zero desire to implement this. The idea of a make-a-curse foundation doing evil deeds of revenge was just amusing. I've long since mended and have found someone who loves me regardless of what happened. I'd like to hear your story. Every time they find a flake of glitter on them and wipe it off, 2 more appear in its place at random spots on the body. So real glitter. Every time they take their first drink of a beverage, it will be all dust in their mouth and they have to swallow it to be able to drink any liquid. If they keep spitting it out, they will not get any liquid to quench the dryness in their mouth. Once they swallow the dust, the drink will work until it is empty. If they refill the drink, it again produces a mouthful of dust that needs to be swallowed first. For them to lose memory of every time they've ever felt joy, happiness, or fulfillment and to never be able to feel those emotions again. For them to always feel thirsty. Dementors. To give them constantly terrible internet. In brief moments, they get hope that it will work, but then crashes, goes off and on all the time. Long load times. This is the true equivalent of heck. Having an internet connection that is useless. Like a cigar but no way to light it. I think somebody's already cursed me. They'd have a persistent, rock-hard erection that never goes away until they try to relieve it. They'd experience immediate flaccidity anytime they try to have sex or masturbate, thus depriving them of any sexual pleasure or release. As soon as they give up trying, boom, boner time again. Had this happened to me, I took sleeping pills until the problem went away. When I'd wake up, I'd often spend the entire time crying because it was so uncomfortable. I can confirm, this is the definition of heck. I have fonder memories of being stabbed. Steelio Contos will appear at random times and beat them up. They will hear the song and can run, but they can't hide from the true wonder who works at Clinkers. Hearing that music would legitimately terrify me. They miss anything they throw or drop. Every time. Even if all they do is drop something an inch above a table, it flies to the edge and drops to the floor. Sit through training meetings at his job. Indefinitely. Except in this meeting. The presenter asks for questions. Confirms nobody has one. Then asks himself some stupid question and praises himself on the great question. Presenter proceeds with answering said question. And praises himself on the thorough answer. This goes on indefinitely. No escape from this heck. Also, the presenter talks in this falsely enthusiastic voice that always has this upbeat tone. Non-stop. Opposite coordination. Every time they want to make a left turn whilst driving, they turn right. They want to grab something on a shelf, their arm moves down instead. They also read signs mirrored too. So if a sign says left to them, it means right. They are given a pie. They cannot eat anything else or drink anything other than water until the pie is completely eaten. They don't have to eat the pie in one sitting, but it is the only food they are allowed to eat until it is gone. The pie is made from green, i.e. not ready to eat at all, strawberries and has no sugar added. Also, if they don't finish the pie in one sitting, the people that make a curse will discreetly replace the pie with a more complete pie every now and then, so the curse continues on forever. Finally, a good answer that is not a magical curse. For them to suddenly have an undying fetish that would make normal relationships impossible, like paraphilic infantilism or necrophilia etc. Pretty sure necrophiliacs won't have an undying fetish. Curse. Every time they try to manipulate someone, their target sees right through what they are doing. Also a useful one for politicians in general. I'd switch the functions of each orifice in their body. They would pee out of their mouth, poop out of their nose, get boogers in their peenie holes, fart out of their ears, and have to eat food up their butt. Their hot beverage of choice shall forever cool quicker than they can drink it. Chilled drinks shall forever be slightly too warm to be satisfactorily refreshing. Muhahaha. Since everyone else is doing curses instead of single acts, I'll follow suit. I'm a robotics guy, so my enemy would be too. If I have one, whenever they supply voltage to something, it's either 10 times more to 10 times less than they think it is. The amount of magic blue smoke they will release. Ha, lucky for me I'm crap at electronics already. In fact, the more blue smoke I inlay, the worse I become as electrics. Bortle baby bortle. It makes so there was always a small amount of plumber's putty on their fingers. You never realize how much you love having fingerprints until that gets in there. It's torture and it takes a long time to get out. I've got an ex-roommate who racked up $1,500 in expenses on my apartment account after he lied about signing the lease and then ignored his rent for months. On top of it, he's an insufferable C who insists any big dog, and I'm not exaggerating when I say any, needs to be put down. Society is responsible for raising someone to be a productive member and not the parent. And he refused to get a job for the entire time he lived there. So basically, I'd have them destroy his credit to the point where he couldn't ever live on his own, and then absolutely frick his driving record so he can't ever afford insurance. And to top it all, I'd have them delete his Xbox account, which he played every waking hour, no lie. That any bathroom they walk into for the rest of their life will have just run out of toilet paper, sometimes with just a few scraps of the last sheet hanging onto the roll, taunting them. Anytime they love, person or pet, that subject develops a terminal illness, they have to spend their life either alone or watching their loved ones dying. That's dark, yo. For a racist former friend, I'd just turn him black, as in, real black, not black-faced, and then, move him to Dresden or Bautzen, major neo-Nazi infested areas. Good luck. Once a day, at a random time, they are slapped in the face, but they do not recall the slap after the pain subsides, thus they never understand the slap, only pain. To find blissful true love, marry and have a perfect child, have a great job with great benefits, living in a nice house in an excellent school district. The child gets straight A's up until high school where they get their first H bust, their grades begin to go downhill. You can tell they're addicted, you check them into various clinics for help. Things go missing around the house, they end up in the hospital for overdosing. Several times, there aren't any schools that will take them after their 4th expulsion for drugs. Because of all the time you've had to spend with them, your job has no choice but to fire you. Your spouse leaves one day when your now 18-year-old child attacks them with a knife. They can't take it anymore. You can't blame them for leaving this nightmare. Your beautiful perfect life is ruined. Your child only gets worse, but there is no release. They are losing brain matter and can't care for themselves. They can't get H for themselves and you can't afford methadone on no insurance, so you have to buy drugs for your invalid child. You have to feed their addiction to keep them alive. Eventually, to keep providing for your child, you have to start selling drugs. Since you can't even get a 7/11 job now, you've been busted a few times for possession now too. And, yeah, I think that'd be enough. That jello served in every hospital is clear and doesn't smell but tastes of the most vile thing ever. Freaking bastards laughing at me for dying while they live. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.